Serena follows Serena Pemberton, who in the 1930s falls in love with the owner of a timber empire, George Pemberton. And while the film arguably has more focus on George's perspective, the film really does do a good job of balancing out this relationship, really expressing the complexities within it at the time, essentially creating an interesting representation of how the business life and the personal life that George has really seem to come to a head, and as expected, they cannot necessarily coexist. Now, the film does have two main plot lines it focuses on that tell incredibly interesting tales of the couple. Unfortunately, these two tales don't necessarily mesh well with one another and really add to the entirety of the story, rather they exist well enough on their own. Furthermore, one of the tales ends in such an abrupt manner and doesn't necessarily have the consequence I believe it should have. And it's a strange, abrupt transition from one to the next that really doesn't make the story feel like it's flowing particularly well. Even the first, say, 10 minutes of the film don't really do much other than set the scene. In fact, there is a great degree of abruptness that's really represented as well, wherein Serena and George actually fall in love. And I feel like there are large, important parts within that scene that really should have been delved into further. Unfortunately, it's almost glossed over. And it made me feel like had the story actually started after the couple had already met or fallen in love, it would have had a far better impact, considering there is very little detail given to us before the plot really kicks in. And when it does seem to have this kind of Shakespearean quality to it, wherein characters do things that are slightly extreme, but at the same time seem to work within the context of the movie. And I like that quality when the atmosphere of the film is really interestingly created, making the world feel far more real. And the performances certainly contribute to that. Jennifer Lawrence is outstanding. She has to display a spectrum of emotion. Her character, being a woman, is doubted by some at the time, but really manages to come across as incredibly strong and having the ability to lead others as one might not expect, and at the same time she has to be someone with an incredibly dark past, something that she's just trying to move forward from. And when such a past comes to haunt her is really when the tension kicks in full force. And it really seems like Bradley Cooper is the one that manages to give her the avenue to express her emotions, and is almost in control of what emotions she's displaying at what time. Unfortunately though, while his performance is certainly far more than just serviceable, he does have an accent that seems to waver from scene to scene and be rather inconsistent. Ultimately, Serena is a film with effective moments, but moments that don't seem to tie in well enough with one another, despite the two stars at the forefront that I do not believe were given full justice with regards to their performance. There is a great lack of focus I felt that the film had at times, and yet somehow just about managed to overcome such issues and be something that was particularly entertaining. While it certainly had the potential to be far greater, I'm gonna give Serena a yes.